Welcome to the Writers' Rendezvous from the South Dakota Humanities Council.
Hello, I'm Karl Gehrke of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. I'm here at the Deadwood Mountain Grand for the 2013 South Dakota Festival of Books. And with me is Craig Wilson, longtime columnist for USA Today. And Craig, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, you wrote the final word for many years.
I did 18 of my 30 years at USA Today. I wrote the column every Wednesday.
And that was a column about, I guess, it's all collected in this book called It's Little Things, and that's essentially what it was.
It was basically the original title for the column that I wanted was Slice of Life, because it was in the life section at USA Today too. And that's exactly what it is. It's just a little slice of life. I looked at things in my daily life, and all of a sudden something would just pop up, and I'd say, oh, that can be a column. And it turned out to be quite popular.
What sort of slice of life things were you looking for? Was it whatever caught your fancy?
Whatever caught my fancy. And since it's USA Today, you have to be understanding that what you wrote about would be of interest to a reader in Arizona as well as somebody in Boston. So you had to kind of do across the board things. It could have been anything. It was like sitting at the kids' table at Thanksgiving dinner, or I'm going to read a column today about the multicolored light people versus the all-white light people at Christmas time, and I also understood that there were certain things that got people going, like the all-white light people are a nasty lot, I'll tell you.
They are.
Because I'm a multicolored light person, and I got really quite nasty emails from the all-white light people. So
why? What makes them nasty?
They just thought I was being a jerk. I said Christmas should be colorful and a cacophony, and it shouldn't be in good taste, and it shouldn't be Martha Stewart. It shouldn't be all white lights. I mean, what's that about? And I think they took offense that I was attacking their good taste or whatever.
Well, I come from a multicolored light family, blinking lights and everything.
Oh, blinking! No, you're real hardcore. Yeah.
Now, being able to write a column that appealed to everyone across the U.S., was that a challenge, or did you have sort of a background that allowed you to have an idea of what it was that would be of general interest?
Well, it got easier only because after you do it a while, it's kind of like what a column works and what one doesn't. And, the best columns, of course, wrote themselves in 20 minutes, and the worst took 3 days, and you knew you were in trouble. You never really quite knew, though. I wrote a column once about the one shoe on the side of the road when you're driving down the freeway and you see one shoe. And I was like, well, where's the other shoe? Or how drunk was this person? Did they had to be, how far down the road did they get before they realized they didn't have the other shoe? Thousands and thousands and thousands of emails. People all had theories about where that shoe was. And I thought my editor was actually going to send that column back to me and say, you know what, you're at the end of the line here if you're writing about one shoe by the side of the road. And it was fabulously popular. Dogs. I have a dog. I wrote about Murphy and Maggie a lot. And dog columns are, dog people are weird. And when Murphy died, a dead dog column is pay dirt. They
always.
Oh my God, I got thousands of emails of people talking about Cleo and Muffin and their dogs. So what was nice was that I think I connected with the readers, and they got to know me and my family and my mother, my 94-year-old mother now. So there was a connection with the reader, which is of course what a writer wants.
I'm interested in what you said before about writing the column. When it came easy, you knew it was good, and when it took you days, you knew it was bad. Why is that?
I don't know. Well, I think there's the muse. There's the I don't know if easy is the word, but it just came. It's kind of like okay, and all of a sudden it was just and there it was, and you look at it, and not only did it come easily, but it was good. You looked at it and you went, "Oh, I even
I did that.
Even I wrote that." I went, "Oh my God, I wrote that. That's really quite good." And the more labored ones, sometimes you just have to stop and give up and say, "You can't. This isn't working." Because there was a weird time. it was very much a column of mine. Crayola Crayons was doing something, and they might have been renaming some of the, like, Flesh or whatever. And I thought, well, here's a perfect column for me. I couldn't write it. It just never, I had to put it aside, and I never wrote it. It never ran. So.
Does this apply, do you think, for writing across the board, that if it's too labored, that maybe you don't have something there, or maybe it's time to put it away, maybe come back to it?
I think you're right. And you read that all the time. Some novelists or so, they write for 5 days in a row, and they hardly, eat. I mean, it's just kind of, it's coming, it's going, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, that writer's block or whatever you want to call it comes in and stops, and there you are.
Now the writing style for USA Today, did you adapt that for the final word? Because the columns themselves were fairly, as far as the language goes and the sentence structure, pretty short, concise.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the keys to the success of the column too, was that, you didn't have to devote a morning to read it or to figure it out. And they were kind of pithy, and the sentences were short. I always say at these conferences, people ask me about writing, USA Today made me a much, much better writer. I worked at a small paper up in the Adirondacks, New York, before I came down to USA Today. And I was writing these profiles. I think the subject's mother might have read the whole thing, but they weren't New Yorker profiles, but they were long. And I should have followed the advice. A journalism professor of mine at Syracuse, I was like 19 or 20, and I remember like it was yesterday, we all handed in our precious little paper, whatever we'd written for the day. And he said, okay, this is fine. Take it back and cut it in half. And don't leave anything out. And you kind of, then you thought, well, I just handed you a masterpiece. What are you talking about? And we did. And USA Today really, I don't think people understand how hard it is to write short. I think Mark Twain had that famous quote. He said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. So.
Now, you were at USA Today for 30 years.
29.
And this past spring?
They offered us, people who'd been around for a while, another buyout. Newspapers are not in good shape. And they offered another buyout for us. And I was probably going to retire next year anyway, so I took it. And I'm taking the summer off. I hope to start writing, I don't know, a column or essays. I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I'm wondering, when you don't have that opportunity or you don't have that column anymore, that's the ideas still come, but you have nowhere to write them.
I was just talking to an old colleague of mine about it. It's really weird because a few things happened this summer. My brother retired from the University of Minnesota. My mother turned 94, and certain things happened. And I went, oh my God, this will be a great column. And then I went, oh, I don't have a column. So, but it was I always said to my bosses, I was working 24 hours a day because you're always looking for a column idea. And people always ask, well, what happens if you didn't come up with something? Well, you didn't have that option. I mean, it's like every Wednesday.
Well, Craig Wilson, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you. It was fun.
Writers Rendezvous is a production of SDPV.